issue of the 21st century will cause violent upheavals in the world order. Countries facing fertility dearth, such as Iran, are responding with aggression. Nations confronting their own mortality may choose to go down in a blaze of glory. Conflicts may be prolonged beyond the point at which there is any rational hope of achieving strategic aims, until all who wish to fight to the death have taken the opportunity to do so. Analysis of national interests cannot explain why some nations go to war without hope of winning, or why other nations will not fight even to defend their vital interests. It cannot explain the historical fact that peoples fight harder, accepting a higher level of sacrifice in blood and treasure when all hope of victory is past. Conventional geopolitical analysis cannot explain the causes of population collapse either, any more than its consequences. For example, under what circumstances strategic reverses, notably the two world wars of the past century, may crush the aspirations of the losers and result in apathy and demographic death. Why do individuals, groups, and nations act irrationally, often at the risk of self-destruction? Part of the problem lies in our definition of rationality. Under normal circumstances, we think it irrational for a middle-aged man to cash in his insurance policy and spend money as fast as possible. But if the person in question has a terminal illness and no heirs, we think it quite reasonable to spend it all quickly, like Otto Kringlein in Grand Hotel, or his updated equivalent, Queen Latifah's character in The Last Holiday. And if we know that we shall presently die of rabies, what is to prevent us from biting everyone we dislike? Countries sometimes suffer the equivalent of terminal illness. What seems suicidal to Americans may appear rational to an existentially challenged people confronting its imminent mortality. Self-immolation of endangered peoples is sadly common. Stone Age cultures often disintegrate upon contact with the outside world. Their culture breaks down, and suicides skyrocket. An Australian researcher writes about suicide contagion or cluster deaths, the phenomenon of indigenous people, particularly men from the same community, taking their own lives at an alarming rate. Canada's Aboriginal Health Foundation reports, the overall suicide rate among First Nation communities is about twice that of the total Canadian population. The rate among Inuit is still higher, 6 to 11 times higher than the general population. Suicide is epidemic among Amazon tribes. The London Telegraph reported on November 19, 2000. The largest tribe of Amazonian Indians, the 27,000-strong Guarani, are being devastated by a wave of suicides among their children, triggered by their coming into contact with the modern world. Once unheard of among Amazonian Indians, suicide is ravaging the Guarani, who live in the southwest of Brazil, an area that now has one of the highest suicide rates in the world. More than 280 Guarani have taken their own lives in the past 10 years, including 26 children under the age of 14 who have poisoned or hanged themselves. Alcoholism has become widespread, as has the desire to own radios, television sets, and denim jeans, bringing an awareness of their poverty. Community structures and family unity have broken down, and sacred rituals come to a halt. Of the more than 6,000 languages now spoken on the planet, 2 become extinct each week, and by most estimates, half will fall silent by the end of the century. A United Nations report claims that 9/10 of the languages now spoken will become extinct in the next 100 years. Most endangered languages have a very small number of speakers. Several are disappearing tribal languages spoken in the Amazon rainforest, the Andes Mountains, or the Siberian taiga. Perhaps 1,000 distinct languages are spoken in Papua New Guinea, many by tribes of only a few hundred members. 18 languages have only one surviving speaker. It is painful to imagine how the world must look to these individuals. They are orphaned in eternity, wiped clean of memory, their existence reduced to the exigency of the moment. But are these dying remnants of primitive societies really so different from the rest of us? Mortality stalks most of the peoples of the world, not this year or next, but within the horizon of human reckoning. A good deal of the world seems to have lost the taste for life. Fertility has fallen so far in parts of the industrial world that languages such as Ukrainian and Estonian will be endangered within a century, and German, Japanese, and Italian within 2. The repudiation of life among advanced countries living in prosperity and peace has no historical precedent.